Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News Weekend Edition.
Good evening, I'm Keaton Hall. As the threat of severe weather looms over our Sunday, we go into a first alert weather day today. Meteorologist Shane Smith joins us now with more.
Well, Keaton, as we go throughout your Sunday, we are going to watch for the potential of some damaging winds and heavy rain. That is our main concerns with severe weather tomorrow. But right now, it is really nice across southern and eastern Kentucky. Let's take a look at what's going on the satellite and radar loop over the last 6 hours. You can see we've been mainly dry, dealing with just a little bit of cloud cover and a few showers down around the Lake Cumberland region. And that rain is continuing to work its way off to the east. Here's a live look at Pinpoint Doppler. You see that storm southwest of Columbia, just outside our viewing area, has a little bit of lightning with it. And we may see an isolated shower tonight, especially down along the Tennessee border and into southwest Virginia. But for most of us, it will be a dry evening. Let's take a look at what's going on with our temperatures. It is currently 85 into London, 81 here in Hazard, 84 Jackson, 88 down in Jonesville, 81 in Wise, and 87 right now over in Pikeville. Pikeville weather cam at Pikeville Medical Center showing an absolutely gorgeous evening on tap. One of those nights where it's going to be a really good night to grill out for dinner and maybe enjoy dinner on the patio, although it is a little bit on the muggy side, and you can see a lot of folks still enjoying an evening ride around Lake Cumberland. Beautiful weather for that. Not going to be the case tomorrow, though. Here's a look at the next 6 hours. You can see temperatures falling from the 80s into the 70s, a little bit of patchy fog developing around and just after midnight. But that severe weather threat looms for tomorrow and on Monday. We'll talk about what to expect with that here in a few minutes, Keaton.
All right, thanks, Shane. Good to have you here with us on the weekend. A man was pronounced dead after he was in an ATV crash. Officials say police here in Perry County were dispatched early this morning to the 7,000 block of Lost Creek Road. 49-year-old Truman Hughes reportedly ran off the roadway over an embankment and landed in the nearby creek. In a post on Facebook, officials said, "May God bless and bring comfort to all that knew Hughes." Following a report of a fatal crash in Whitley County. Whitley County Sheriff's Department officials and Kentucky State Police are at the intersection of Kentucky Highway 90 and the Cumberland Falls Highway. Police say the road was expected to be closed until right about now, 6 p.m. We're going to provide more information on this as it's a developing story on our website, WYMT.com. Members of the Catholic Diocese of Lexington are spending their weekend rebuilding homes in Breathitt County. WYMT's R.J. Johnson spoke to members about why they're continuing to help rebuild more than 1 year later.
In collaboration with the Housing Development Alliance, more than a dozen members from the Catholic Diocese of Lexington chose to help families rebuild after the July 2022 flood. Director of the Office of Peace and Justice for the Catholic Diocese, Joshua Van Cleve, says this is the group's fourth home they are building. He says they were called to help families in the region.
They know that when people are hurting, that it is in Christ that they are given new life. And at the same time, as Christians, we are called to be part of that. So that means that we're going to help any way we can.
Volunteer Michael Lynch says the heat didn't help, but adds that it's all worth it.
It may be uncomfortable for those of us who are out here swinging hammers and carrying boards and stuff, and yes, we're sweating, yes, it's very warm and humid, but we're helping people who are even less comfortable than we are because they're still looking for a good, safe, decent place to live. And it's worth the sweat. It's worth the effort we're putting into it.
Van Cleve says they aren't going anywhere.
As the Catholic Church, we're here for the long haul. We're in these communities and we're walking with people through the relief efforts, and we know that it's going to be the long haul. So we're committed, and we're hoping that these houses are a sign of our enduring commitment to walk with people in the road of recovery.
Helping rebuild homes one day at a time, Van Cleve says they cannot wait for the family to move into their new home. In Breathitt County, R.J. Johnson, WYMT Mountain News.
Van Cleve says rebuilding homes for families is rewarding since he's doing the work for the Lord. The 7th annual Kayaking for Kids took place today in Williamsburg. Roughly 34 kayaks floated down the Cumberland River to benefit various programs and schools in Whitley County. Project Director for Whitley County, Amber Owens, says turnout has been growing over the last couple of years and the love and support from the community to benefit the kids in need.
$1,100 goes to each Upward Basketball League in our county. Corbin has a league and Williamsburg has a league. So each of those leagues get $1,100 to provide scholarships for kids who couldn't afford the entry fees to play Upward Basketball.
Owens also says the rest of the funds raised are divided between the family resource centers in all 3 school systems in Whitley County. Well, it's one of the biggest days for food and politics in Kentucky. The annual Fancy Farm Picnic is underway in western Kentucky. The picnic is one of the world's largest, and people say the political stump speaking is like nothing they've seen. WYMT's Phil Pendleton is there and has more from Graves County.
Thunderstorms and heavy rain greeted those that came to Fancy Farm this morning. But then the skies cleared and it became very hot, symbolic of that spicy barbecue and the fiery rhetoric soon to come from the stage. A lot of people turn out for the food, but the politics is of course one of the main draws that makes this so popular the first Saturday in August.
Yeah, they let us out.
It is often called political theater, where the audience is as much a part of the show as those on the stage. Fancy Farm brings all kinds of different people, viewpoints, and political ideologies to one place, a little farming town called Fancy Farm. Several years since the event has seen this large of a crowd, partly thanks to a nationally watched governor's race.
They know when you're on a historic winning streak, you don't fire the coach. You don't sub out the quarterback.
I've been watching Frankfurt Andy up close for nearly 4 years, and I have just one question. Governor, are you auditioning for a job with Bud Light's marketing team?
Well, sometimes candidates will miss coming to Fancy Farm, and sometimes they will miss fire while at Fancy Farm. They say that you can't win by what you say here, but you surely can lose by saying the wrong thing. We will see what happens over the next few months, what happens in November, and if Fancy Farm had a role in any of that. At Fancy Farm in Graves County, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
All the proceeds from the event go towards the mission work of the St. Jerome's Parish in Graves County. Garrett County was the epicenter of a 2.6 magnitude earthquake early yesterday morning. The National Weather Service said it's unlikely to feel a quake of such a low magnitude. The event was captured by the seismic network operated by the Kentucky Geological Survey UK. Leaders of the program say this was the 3rd recorded earthquake in the Garrett County area dating back to the 1800s. This quake also ties for the 3rd largest in the state so far this year.
The size of this earthquake is very typical of earthquakes that happen in this part of Kentucky. And in the sense that you said that, every earthquake that happens in this part of Kentucky indicates a new fault that we didn't know about.
The largest quake so far this year was in May, a magnitude 3.3 south of Owensboro. A federal grand jury has indicted a Lexington woman who's accused of lying to get COVID relief money to shop with. The federal indictment alleges 22-year-old Sandy Bell Fierro made up a company and used it to apply for a small business loan. She claimed the business had 17 employees and made $197,000 a year before the pandemic. The indictment says she used the loan for personal purchases, including a $24,000 car. The most serious charge in the indictment is wire fraud. If she's convicted, she could face up to 20 years in prison. Thousands of students across Kentucky have returned or are about to return to the classroom this month, which also means more people will be on the road commuting to and from school. Earlier this year, a school crossing guard was hit and killed in Lexington. While the guards can help, Woodford County Superintendent is reminding everyone to be more alert in school zones, especially during those peak hours.
We just want to remind those folks that please, during those times, especially in your neighborhoods too, because kids will not only be either walking or on bikes, but they'll be at bus stops too. So please just kind of pay attention, make that the priority, getting out of your neighborhoods and then, just around our school sites in general.
Another reminder, it's against the law to pass a school bus when it's dropping off or picking up students. It could put yourself and the students at risk. Coming up at 6, Vice President Kamala Harris talks Bidenomics and how they plan to focus on entrepreneurs and small business owners.
And the forecast could take a turn towards the stormy side tomorrow. If first alert weather day is in effect, we'll let you know what to expect after the break.